Before you criticize me, I want to admit that I take full responsibility for what happened. However, it is important to realize that if my wife had not taken certain actions, our story might have been different. Can I introduce myself? I'm Bob, a 32-year-old man. My ex-wife and I separated after 2 years of marriage. The turning point came when I was sent on a job transfer to another country and I met Lola when I got there. To adjust quickly, I went out for drinks with a colleague. Little did I know that this chance encounter would lead me to Lola. She was sitting alone at the bar, and the warm atmosphere attracted me. As a stranger in a foreign land, I was attracted by our welcoming atmosphere. As strangers in a foreign land, we struck up conversations and shared our stories. Lola couldn't help but tell me and my colleague Jude about the difficulties she faced at work that day. Perhaps if Lola knew what the future held for us and the pleasant memories we could create, she wouldn't have revealed so much about herself that fateful night. After patiently listening to her for what felt like an hour, she turned the conversation to me. I told her about my recent job transfer to her country. Interestingly, something in my story intrigued her, sparking the beginning of our friendship. That's how our communication started. If Lola and I had stayed friends, it would have been a valuable life experience for me, alleviating the pain and feelings of betrayal I eventually experienced. As we got to know each other better, I learned that she worked as a nurse. Gradually, she began sharing details about herself, including her dream of becoming a spider farmer and owning a large spider farm in the future. How ironic that children's dreams sometimes fade. This moment reminded me of Lola's incredible sense of humor. I must admit that over the years of dating and communicating with different girls, Lola stood out as one of the most genuine people I've ever met. She had an amazing ability to see through people. It was only after getting to know her family that I realized where she inherited this quality from. Moreover, she showed great kindness and treated everyone with the same respect, regardless of their social status. Her compassion extended to both friends and loved ones, and she rarely spoke ill of anyone. I believe her character played a significant role in her successful career as a caregiver. In addition to being kind to acquaintances, Lola had an incredible ability to show compassion to strangers. It was one of those qualities that initially captivated me the evening we first met. One day, we went for an evening walk and decided to buy orange juice from the nearest shop. While waiting, an elderly beggar approached the counter, modestly asking for a bottle of water, saying he couldn't afford it. Personally, I thought the seller had the opportunity to politely refuse if she didn't want to help, but to my horror, she yelled at the man, suddenly stood up from her seat, and tried to make him leave the store. It was an unexpected and sad situation that I witnessed. Contrary to what I expected, Lola began accusing the sellers of mistreating an elderly person. She raised her voice, expressing her disagreement with their actions. Surprisingly, she went ahead and personally paid for a bottle of water for him. When I asked her about it, she explained that the person reminded her of a loved one, and she felt it necessary to intervene. Her compassion struck me as worthy of respect, especially considering the vulnerability and poor appearance of this man. As we prepared to leave the store that evening, murmurs from those around us suggested Lola might be acting for approval or to seem kind-hearted. In reality, these thoughts weren't far from the truth. Lola's act that night truly reflected her character. Even though our relationship ended, I'm sure that at that moment, Lola was just being herself. Moreover, kindness seemed to be an integral part of her family. The first day she invited me to dinner, I was amazed at the love and kindness her family showed me. If I wasn't familiar with them, I'd believe these are rare people unknown to the world. The way they accepted me made me feel like a member of their family. Lola's stepfather Bob was warm and open, and her mother Lily showed me such love that I wanted to be her biological son. As for Lola's half-brother Max, he was wonderful. Thanks to their hospitality, it felt like I had been living in the country for a long time and communicating with them never made me feel like a stranger. After a year of meeting Lola and her family, it became clear that I was deeply in love with her. My heart belonged to her alone, and I couldn't imagine being with anyone else. She became a significant part of me, and all I wanted was to live a happy married life with her and her family. When I finally confessed my feelings to Lola, it was an easy step toward a romantic relationship. She reciprocated, knowing my affection for her was strong and sincere. Over time, our life together became smoother. Fortunately, I already worked in one of Megan's country's prestigious organizations, so we didn't worry about financial issues. In less than 5 months, we carefully planned our wedding. On that momentous day, beloved family and friends gathered to celebrate with us. creating a wonderful, joyful atmosphere. It's nice to remember that when I first received the transfer notification, I had doubts, but I didn't know these changes would lead me to the love of my life and an unforgettable celebration. Despite my initial plans, I ended up married to Lola and met her amazing family. After the wedding, we started a life together, doing what we loved as a couple. I still can't understand why she ruined our happy marriage because it was truly wonderful. And those dear moments remain forever in my memory. Initially, Lola and I decided to postpone having a child because we felt unprepared. She valued our connection, encouraging us to enjoy each other's company and savor life's pleasures. She wasn't quite ready for the changes that come with pregnancy, like morning sickness and other symptoms. Still, I deeply respected her feelings. The fact that Lola, like her mother, constantly supported me as her spouse only increased my love for her. She perfectly understood the demands of my job and was ready to move whenever the company transferred me. Luckily, due to our marriage, I could apply for a permanent job in her country, and when the time came, I submitted my application. Fortunately, it got approved, relieving us of the worry about frequent relocations. One motivating factor was the immense joy I felt in the presence of Lola's family, surpassing what I experienced with my own relatives or other people. I couldn't put into words the emotions they stirred in me. I never felt this way as a child or with my family around. This strong connection made me do everything possible to keep it intact, especially after getting married. Lola's brother frequently visited our house, and I genuinely appreciated his presence. He became like a younger brother to me, and seeing his close bond with Lola made me realize how much he values his sister and wants to spend time with her. Additionally, I genuinely enjoyed hanging out with Max and often shared drinks with him. Sometimes our fun led to him staying overnight at our house when we might have had a bit too much to drink. Max and I developed a tradition of organizing a friendly competition. Whoever could drink more without getting too drunk would win the entire pot of money. This activity brought us great pleasure, and Lola sometimes joined us on those evenings when she felt like it. However, our happiness was overshadowed when Megan's stepfather passed away 2 years after the wedding, sending her into a deep depression. This pain wasn't hers alone. The entire family mourned the loss, especially her mother, who deeply loved Bob. I must admit, I also felt Bob's loss keenly and missed his presence in our lives. Watching his infectious laughter over dinner jokes, listening to his familiar stories about his grandparents surviving the World War, and enjoying his terrible singing made me reflect on the emotional grief Lola, her mother and Max were going through. Honestly, Lola's father's passing had a profound impact on her, so much that she had to stop working to properly mourn. Throughout this challenging period, I stood by her side, offering constant support. I helped organize her father's funeral and supported her every step of the way. After the funeral, I expected Lola to return to her normal routine, but that didn't happen. On the contrary, her health deteriorated to the point where we all became concerned for her. She had known Bob since she was 13, after losing her biological father, and he had stepped in as a father figure. I could only imagine how difficult it was for her to lose him. I tried my best to cheer her up twice, but nothing seemed to work. Not knowing much about Bob, I often felt lost when Lola spoke about him. But I couldn't help but notice how her demeanor changed when Max visited, recalling memories associated with Bob. At these moments, her laughter filled the atmosphere, and her mood noticeably improved for the whole day. But as soon as Max left, she would retreat back into her shell. My serious concern for her well-being led me to make a decision. I asked Max to move in with us and stay until Lola regains her strength and finds solace. When making this decision, I was solely guided by the desire to see Lola recover and gradually break free from her emotional cage. The consequences of this choice still cause me deep pain, but I am grateful for making it, because it allowed me to discover a painful truth. If I hadn't asked Max to move in, I might have continued living in blissful ignorance, believing that Lola's love belonged only to me. As Max settled into our apartment, amazing changes took place. Lola's health gradually improved, and she began to recover as I had hoped. Initially, I assumed Max would stay with us for several weeks, but suddenly, his stay extended to 2 months. As I mentioned, the changes in Lola's condition were gradual but noticeable. She started regaining her vitality and became more engaged in life. No longer did she spend hours alone in our room, shedding endless tears. Watching her improvement filled me with joy, realizing that Max's presence played an important role in her recovery. Max, steadfast in enduring his grief, didn't cause me any fears. Soon, we resumed our usual games and even picked up our drinking competitions again. It felt like getting back to normal life, with a friendly and fun atmosphere. Max and I were engaged in our typical activities when Lola expressed her desire to join us. Despite having consumed several bottles, I couldn't resist her wish to participate. I allowed her to compete with her brother Max. However, as I grew tired of watching them drink and laugh without a clear winner, I decided to call it a night and head to bed. Maintaining a strict sleep schedule and needing to be at the office by 8 in the morning, I went to bed calmly, unaware of how events would unfold. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, I woke up needing to use the bathroom. As I stumbled out of bed, still half asleep, the touch of cool tiles in the bathroom woke me up. It was then that I noticed strange noises coming from the living room. Initially, I thought it was just the TV, but upon closer listening, it became apparent it was something different. Silently leaving the room, I cautiously headed into the living room. To my amazement, I found Lola energetically dancing, beads of sweat glistening on her forehead. The warmth in the room left no doubt about what was happening. I stood speechless, trying to grasp the unreality of the situation, hoping it wasn't a figment of my imagination. When they hadn't yet recovered from the unexpected fun, I turned on the light, making Lola abruptly stop her movements. Both Lola and Max looked as if they had seen a ghost, their expressions revealing complete amazement at my presence. Lola started to explain, but her explanations became unnecessary. What I witnessed was completely understandable and left no room for doubt. Without hesitation, I kicked them out of my house. The shock was so strong that the next day, I couldn't even go to work. Pulling myself together, I went to Lola's mother and informed her about Lola and Max's actions. The mother's deep disappointment was evident and she couldn't even speak out in defense of her children. In her efforts to find support for me, a physical closeness developed between us. Although I'm not particularly proud of what happened, I couldn't help but admit that Lola's mother surpassed her daughter in terms of feelings. Surprisingly, I enjoyed every moment spent with her, and an affair began between us. It was unexpected given our age difference, but the connection was simply indescribable. The same week I found out about Lola and Max's betrayal. I immediately consulted a lawyer to start divorce proceedings. Initially, she hesitated to sign the divorce papers, thinking I might change my mind and forgive her, but I remained firm in my decision, unable to find the strength to forgive her. As a result, our marriage ended, and Lola and her brother remained unaware of my affair with their mother. The affair continued unnoticed, and I relished the moments we spent together, knowing it was temporary. Everything changed the day Lola unexpectedly caught us in the midst of our process. On the kitchen table, she was both shocked and furious, venting her anger at her own mother. Unfortunately for Lola, her conflict led to her being kicked out of her mother's house. Of course, she probably felt the same sense of betrayal as I did. When her brother told her mother about our affair, she also kicked him out of the house in response. Deep down, I understood that our secret relationship was destined for a short existence and served as a form of revenge for both of them. If you're wondering how I'm communicating with their mother right now, the answer is no way. We realized our relationship was not destined to last and we made the difficult decision to part ways. 3 years later, my ex-mother-in-law found her new true love. She's a good person and deserves better. I don't know if she communicates with her daughter and Max, and to tell the truth, I'm not interested in it. Let them live their lives. I am now married again and have 2 children, and these memories serve as a reminder to me to protect myself and my family from infidelity and betrayal. Second story: my wife and I, both 29 years old, began our journey together in school and continued through college and graduate school. While I was in grad school, my wife worked as a teacher at a nearby college, planning to finish her education after I completed mine. Now, happily married for 8 years, we've been together for a total of 10 years. I recently completed my training, marking the end of that journey. At the start of this year, I took a significant step in my career and I am now moving to a new position in my company. I've recently signed an important contract with great significance. In a few months, my current salary of around $500 will significantly increase, 5 to 6 times more. This change will allow us to lead a lifestyle we've never experienced before. While I'm pursuing my dream job, my spouse is diligently preparing for higher education. We're both excited about the amazing future ahead. We were on the verge of reaping the benefits we worked hard for and patiently awaited. The fall semester was approaching, and my wife, having said goodbye to her job at a nearby college, was set to start her studies in 2 years. Once she completes her studies, we plan to move to our desired place and live the life we've long dreamed of, aligning with our desires. However, a couple of months before starting my new job, I noticed a hint of melancholy in my wife's thoughts. While I remained joyful about the upcoming changes, she seemed distant, displaying peculiar behavior indicating she was keeping some kind of secret. Even during moments when we watched our favorite show, she was occupied with SMS messages. Her face would distort into an unusual smile upon receiving a message, and I couldn't help but notice her constant anticipation of some message. Our plans for spending time together were frequently canceled, leaving me alone. She explained the cancellations by saying she needed to finish her schoolwork. Since early June, I observed her increasing reliance on these mysterious messages. On Memorial Day, while I was at work and she was home working on her school chores, curiosity drove me to leave an old mobile phone with a voice recording app in the house. Upon my return, I eagerly listened to the recording and was shocked by what I heard. It was a video call between her and a strange man having a candid conversation. They openly discussed plans to meet the following Friday after class, delving into closeness matters and making offensive remarks about me. It became evident that their bond was growing stronger as the conversation progressed. From the manner of their talk, I suspected this person might be another teacher from her college. Despite the poor recording quality, I used the Audacity program to eliminate background noise and highlight the voice. Now, I am absolutely sure they've been in a secret relationship for some time, given their comfort level during the conversation. Shockingly, in the process of listening, I discovered that he came to my house for an in-bed relationship with my wife. Initially, I had doubts and thought this idea was unlikely. I set up CCTV cameras to watch the front door and backyard, but soon realized the camera facing the front door couldn't capture those entering through that garage. I bought 3 cameras initially, but managed to install only 2. It took a week to discreetly hide one in the garage without his wife noticing. Maintaining secrecy was quite challenging. Finally, in May, I successfully installed a camera in the garage. I found no signs of their presence in the garage. In early June, we vacationed in a beach house an hour away. On the second to last day, my friends and I planned an evening beach walk to enjoy the sunset. Surprisingly, my wife last minute canceled the trip, leading me to suspect she might be meeting someone. I felt deeply saddened that she invited him during our vacation with friends, a special time for both of us. Lacking the necessary equipment to capture her words, I used my phone to silently record the conversation while walking with friends. Thoughts spun in my head that during my absence, my wife might be with someone else. I couldn't comprehend why she would risk our relationship so recklessly. We were on the verge of achieving our dream, and after countless years together, the thought of her betraying our bond was painful. Back at the beach house, I eagerly listened to the recording, hoping for clarity. I heard her open the door for someone, and soon the air filled with the sounds of closeness, accompanied by the voice of the person she was with. It was evident. He entered unnoticed and patiently waited until everyone left the house before entering. Despite having indisputable evidence, I decided to delay the conversation with her to first find out the identity of this mysterious person. She sensed my distress and, knowing me well, realized I was trying to hide it. The anticipation became unbearable, leading me to access her phone for additional evidence. One night, while she slept peacefully, I couldn't resist the temptation to look through her messages. To my surprise, I found irrefutable evidence of her long-term secret relationship. The extent of their involvement exceeded all my initial assumptions and became obvious. It turned out the person she had a secret relationship with was one of her former students. Their relationship developed into a close one after crossing paths in class during the semester. I didn't know their meetings happened much more often than I could have imagined. The student quietly parked down the street, secretly entered the house through the garage, and they agreed to spend time together during my absence or when I had night work. She made up stories about being late at work to spend time with him. Additionally, they were secluded in her college office during normal school hours. It's shocking that sometimes they even engaged in activities in our bed. Discovering messages revealed their plans for the next 3 months, coinciding with the period when my new job required me to be away from home. Often, they discussed the idea of practically living together in our house for a significant part of the year, using the financial advantages of my higher income to fulfill their common desires. What struck me even more was that the driving force behind their relationship was my wife. Despite his hesitation, she convinced him that she would take charge of the situation. She explained that she wanted me to be happy and not raise suspicion, so they could be together without obstacles. After reading the message, I was puzzled because it depicted a version of her that was unfamiliar to me, almost like a villain, and not the person I cherished and lived with for 10 years. The moment I saw these messages, the turning point came. I no longer wanted to rely on the camera for concrete evidence. With the audio recording and text at my disposal, I felt obliged to face the truth. When I played her the recording, she reacted genuinely. However, after the initial shock wore off, she started denying understanding what I meant. Even when shown photographic evidence of her messages, she stubbornly insisted she hadn't had an affair. It became clear she planned to continue this deceptive relationship, taking advantage of my financial opportunities and leading a secret life with her partner. We had a lengthy conversation, and in the end, she reluctantly confessed all her actions. Consequently, I'm currently in a state of deep confusion, unsure how to navigate this situation in my adult life. Throughout our life, I've always seen us as a close-knit family making decisions together. We consistently worked towards a common goal and were incredibly close to realizing it. But now, I can hardly recognize her, despite being together for more than a third of our lives. Her recent admission about an affair with a student left me perplexed. She claims she ended the relationship and is willing to take all necessary measures to restore my trust. It seems unbelievable, especially considering the student is only 19 years old and hasn't even reached the legal drinking age. The lack of respect in our relationship became more noticeable when they engaged in close relationships at her workplace, in the car I provided, in our own garage, and even in our shared bed. To make matters worse, she sent him a message expressing her increased desire. It's hard to imagine how we could mend our relationship after unknowingly financing their affair. It's unpleasant to think she's jeopardizing her future, especially when she was supposed to enter graduate school in the fall with my support. Our carefully designed plan now destroyed. It seems she may not fully understand the seriousness of this situation. While she tries to prove she's no longer connected to him, I can't find anything that could fully restore my trust. Her past clever schemes to deceive me and her convincing lies to my face make it challenging to find something that could give me the necessary confidence. Therefore, it's becoming apparent that we should divorce. Although I'd like to confidently say I believe in our future, it's difficult for me to envision the way forward. We're currently in a situation where we're still together, knowing we need to go our separate ways, but her love affair has made our relationship even more complicated. The situation is further complicated by her family's strict religious beliefs, and there are fears they might sever ties with her due to her infidelity. Over the years, her family has witnessed my love and support, considering me a son, perhaps even closer to her parents than to their own. Moreover, her actions at work may lead to job loss since I've decided to withdraw support for her graduate studies and college debts. If we reveal the truth about her financial situation, it'll undoubtedly tarnish her reputation and possibly hinder her career prospects. The weight of these obligations can shatter her dreams, and I see it as my primary task to protect her from such destruction. Hence, I've chosen to keep this information from our friends, relatives, and acquaintances for the time being. Currently, we're trying to find a plausible explanation for why a seemingly prosperous and successful couple like us suddenly decided to end our marriage, especially in the absence of any visible problems. As we approach our life successes, local laws require us to remain officially separated for an extended period. Therefore, just last night, we completed the preparation of the initial draft of the necessary documents. I want to express my gratitude to her for agreeing to most of my divorce proposals. Throughout the process, I aim to be fair and clear about dividing our property. Financially, I'm undoubtedly in a better position. It was crucial for me to have both our pets with me, and I'm happy everything went well. Currently, my wife hasn't hired her own lawyer, and unless we face an unsolvable issue, she doesn't plan to. While we have no serious disagreements now, having a lawyer for my interests puts me in an advantageous position. I'm still living in the house in a separate bedroom until we finalize the legal documents. This arrangement encourages open communication for any adjustments we might need, but I plan to move soon. Once all issues are resolved, I look forward to a quick resolution. Unfortunately, due to the upcoming separation and likely divorce, I can't fulfill my initial promise to support her graduate studies as my work starts soon. The divorce paperwork has made us both realize the reality of our situation. I suspect her tendency to narcissism and manipulation mentioned earlier might make her believe I'd never really leave. It's crucial for her to understand that people have the right to make their own choices, and I decided to leave our relationship. Despite any confusion from our affair or being stunned by the current situation, it's real. As soon as the separation period ends, I'll begin the divorce process. Throughout this ordeal, my friends provided incredible support and understanding. Both our families have shown great support, often agreeing with my point of view in our conversations. I've limited discussions exclusively to our separation, avoiding mention of the bright future I imagine. Fortunately, I received generous offers from several people who kindly offered me a place to stay while I figure out my next steps. Having this support and the opportunity to spend time developing a strategy and planning my future brings real happiness. I can't imagine how much more challenging the situation would be without such opportunities to help me re-enter the world of romance. A friend took me to a bar where I had the chance to start a romantic relationship, a completely new experience for me as an adult. During this journey, I was lucky enough to meet some genuinely charming people. I had the opportunity to take part in a social event where my ex-wife wasn't the center of attention, and it turned out to be an amazing experience. Thinking about this, I contemplated the necessary steps to move forward in my life. Self-care is a priority, so I started attending psychotherapy sessions and reviving neglected hobbies. I believe bright days are ahead, and I'm grateful for the continued support of loved ones.